Hello everybody! Long time no see. Once again, I always say that. But here I am, I'm back, and hopefully gonna help you with the question I get a lot, which is, how do I choose a size for my sewing patterns? So I have a special guest. Please help us welcome Liz to the show. Liz, hi, I need your help. So I want to sew this pattern, but I don't have any idea what size to choose, and I'm like a 10-ish, I don't know, at the store, but so does that mean I choose size 10 on here? Because I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, first, take a deep breath. Okay, good. Basically, you just take your measurements and then you match them up to... Okay, but how do I take my measurements? So first we're gonna start with 3 measurements. But before we start taking your measurements, just make sure that you're wearing your undergarments that you plan to wear with a finished garment. And the first measurement we're gonna take is the bust measurement. And that's going to be the widest part around your chest, around your apex. And just make sure when you're measuring that the measuring tape is parallel to the floor. And if you're busty, then you might want to take your high bust measurement as well and then compare that to your bust measurement. If there's over 2 inches of difference between your high bust and your bust, then you might want to consider a full bust adjustment, or FBA for short. And I don't have a video on doing this, but my friend Bianca at Vintage on Tap has one, so I'm going to link that up in the top right-hand corner. Our next measurement is the waist measurement, and that's the smallest point of your midsection, and typically that's about 1 inch above your navel. And finally, the last main measurement is the hip measurement, which is the widest part of your hip/bum area. Okay, that's pretty easy. So I have my measurements, now what? Alright, so next we're gonna have to do a little bit of research on the pattern. So that means taking your pattern and reading the description on the back. So this one says, close-fitting dress has front princess. So we're gonna wanna look for words like close-fitting or semi-fitted or loose, billowy, words that kind of talk about how it's supposed to fit. So you're also going to want to look at the technical drawings because sometimes it can be hard to tell what's going on depending on how they've sewn their samples. The next thing we can do is check out the hashtag on Instagram. So hashtag B6453. And I know for a fact a lot of people have made this one, so you can check and see reviews, people's opinions about how it fits, etc., etc. So after we know how it's supposed to be fitting, then we can start choosing our size. So some patterns have finished garment measurements on the back here on the chart. Some don't. This one only has the back length from base of neck. That doesn't really help us. We want the finished garment measurements of the bust, the waist, and the hips. You're going to pick your size pack generally based on their size chart. This one includes sizes 6 to 14, and again, these are not your ready-to-wear sizes. These are the sewing sizes, okay? Basically, what we're going to do is once we get it home, we're going to open up the pattern and look for the pieces that have the bodice, and we're gonna open it up and find this symbol here. So what that means is that at that point the finished garment measurement will be this based on the size. For me, my bust size, it kind of fluctuates, but it's around 38.5. The finished garment measurement for the 14 is 38.5. So if I want it to be really fitted, then I'm probably gonna go for the 14 and maybe just add a tiny bit. Okay, so the waist, the finished garment measurement is not on the same piece, it's actually on a different piece. And that is right here. See, so it says waistline. Those measurements are corresponding to the waist. If I were to choose size 14, my finished garment would be 31 inches, which is going to be too loose for my personal preference. I am probably going to grade down to about a 12 because the finished garment measurement is 29 inches. So 1/2 inch of ease for breathing and eating, that's probably going to be comfortable. So I probably would just go with the 12. So that means I've got my bust size of 14 and then my waist size of 12. And then if I'm going to make the fitted skirt, first of all, my hips don't lie, so my butt does not fit into this pattern pack size. So that means I'm gonna have to grade up. The largest finished garment size on here is 41.5 inches. My hips actually measure like 43 inches. So that means I'm going to have to add probably 3 inches, 4 inches, because I want to be able to sit down. So I'll probably add 4 inches. So if I expand it by the same amount from the 12 to the 14, then I'll add 2 more inches there. So say that we're going to be working with a looser fitting garment. You're not going to want to choose the finished garment measurement that's really close to your size, because then it's going to be really tight and it's not going to flow like the pattern designer intended, right? Something else to mention is if you're sewing pants, skirt, something tight around your hips and your bum, keep ease in mind for sitting when you're choosing your sizes. Okay, so grading. Start with one size, and then as we're tracing the next size, you just sort of use your eyeball, or you can use a French curve. Basically, you just start with one size, you know, look at the trend, like how the curve is going. Follow that. Just make it a little bit bigger or smaller, depending. Okay, and one last piece of advice, if it wasn't clear before, definitely trace your patterns, because if you just start cutting, then there's not really going back. You can tape it back together, but that's a pain in the butt and you don't want to do that. Lay out your pattern and even iron it if you have to. No water, a low heat iron, and smooth it all out, and then get your tracing paper. I like to use architectural paper, actually. Architectural tracing paper. Trace everything out, transfer your markings, make sure you transfer your dart markings and your notches, stuff like that. Then that way it's just a little bit of insurance that you don't ruin your actual pattern. One more piece of advice, make a test garment, because even if you choose your size based on your finished garment measurements and how you think it's supposed to fit, you still might be surprised with how it fits. That happened to me when I made this blouse. I chose the size 12 because it was supposed to have plenty of room, plenty of ease, and it was very tight in the bust. I was not expecting that. So I had to do a full bust adjustment, and so basically just keep that in mind. Always do a tester, even if you think you know how it's gonna fit. Oh my God, that's a lot. But I think I got it. So what I need to do is, step 1, take measurements while I'm wearing the undergarments that I plan to wear with my finished garment. So number 2 is study the pattern. Google it, check and see if anyone else has made it, if they have any tips. Learn how it's meant to fit based on the designer's vision. 3, choose a size based on my finished garment measurements, not on the package size. Number 4, trace my size and grade up or down as needed. And then 5 is make a test garment and add any adjustments I've made on my garment to my pattern. Got it. I'm so proud, you're such a quick learner. I hope that was fun, and I know it's a lot, but just remember those last few takeaways, and you're gonna probably sew some stuff that doesn't fit great at first, but you just have to kind of keep going and keep pushing and have some patience with yourself, because sewing is hard. It's freaking hard. You're taking flat 2D things and you're making them 3D, so it's practically magic. Just be patient with yourself. You can do it. Everybody can do it. Thanks for watching. I hope this helped answer your questions about choosing what size with your sewing patterns. Follow me on Instagram if you don't already, at Liz Von Billis. Join my Facebook sewing group, Vintage Sewing with Liz, and I will see you next time. Bye!